You've been told a story your entire life. That people who get rich are born different, born into the right zip code, the right last name, the right luck. They tell you wealth is rare, reserved, protected by invisible gates, and guarded by connections. And that unless someone opens that gate for you, you'll always be stuck, working, waiting, watching. And maybe you believed it, because how many times have you seen someone try and fail? How many people do you know who work hard, but never break free? How many stories have you heard that end in frustration, not freedom? So they sell you the lie that success is a lottery, that wealth chooses people, not the other way around. But I want you to listen very carefully. You don't need luck to get rich. You need clarity. You need fire. You need accountability. Because the truth is, most people don't fail because of a lack of intelligence. They fail because of a lack of ownership, a lack of self-mastery, a lack of discipline. They're not lazy. They're distracted. They're not incapable. They're inconsistent. They're not cursed. They're comfortable. They wait. They hope. They overthink. They sabotage. They make one mistake and call it a sign. And then they tell themselves stories. It wasn't meant to be. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Other people have it easier. No, you were not born to wish for wealth. You were born to build it. But let me warn you, this isn't easy. It's not quick. It's not flashy. It's slow. It's silent. It's brutal. And it's worth it. Because if you can get through the resistance, through the rejection, through the moments that make you question everything, you won't just make money. You'll make yourself. You'll wake up one day and realize you no longer flinch at bills. You no longer shrink around success. You no longer wait for a miracle because you became the source of everything you needed. You don't need luck. You need to wake up earlier. Cut off distractions. Ditch your excuses. Track every dollar. Invest like your life depends on it. Learn like your brain is starving. Discipline your environment. Speak like you believe it. Move like it's already yours. Every day, not just on Mondays. Not just when you feel inspired. Not just when it's trending. Every single day. Because money doesn't respond to pity. It responds to systems, to decisions, to ownership. So if you're tired of the cycles, of the mental fog, of the emotional roller coasters, then say this to yourself. No more luck. No more waiting. No more blame. If they want to count you out, let them. If they want to laugh at your dreams, let them. If they want to remind you of your past, let them. But you remind yourself of your future. You surround yourself with systems. You focus. You execute. You stack wins in silence. Until one day, the world hears the sound of your discipline and calls it luck. But you'll know better, because the rich don't wait. They work. And today, you join them. This is your edge. This is your season. This is your chance to change every story you were given. So take a breath and lock in, because what comes next, that's the blueprint, the method, the mentality, the muscle. You don't need a handout. You don't need luck. You don't need perfect. You need this fire, and you need to keep it lit. Let's build. Part 1. The myth of luck excusing your future. You've been conditioned to believe that success is a matter of chance, that money flows to the chosen few, to the lucky, to those who stumble into opportunity, while the rest just keep grinding and hoping. It's a lie dressed as a comfort, a lie that whispers to you every time you fail. It tells you, don't worry, you just weren't lucky this time. But deep down, you know that's not the truth. Deep down, something in you knows that wealth isn't found, it's created. Every time you chalk someone's success up to luck, you remove yourself from the equation. You give away your power. You're not just saying they're lucky, you're declaring that you're not capable, that you couldn't build what they built, that you couldn't push through what they pushed through. But what if the difference between you and them isn't luck? It's belief. Belief in the process. Belief in the grind. Belief in the unseen days when nothing is working, but you keep showing up anyway. Luck is easy to blame. It's the perfect scapegoat for a generation that's been taught to expect fast results. If you don't get what you want in a week, it must not be for you. If the post didn't go viral, if the product didn't sell, if the pitch got rejected. It wasn't your fault, right? It's just the algorithm. Just bad timing. Just bad luck. But what if it wasn't? What if it was just that you stopped too soon? That you didn't stay in the game long enough for it to turn in your favor? The world is full of people who gave up one action short of a breakthrough. They walked away from the table just before the hand would have changed. And then they'd turn around and called someone else lucky. But the truth is, the one who stayed wasn't lucky. They were willing. Willing to be misunderstood. Willing to be broke for a while. Willing to be laughed at, ignored, overlooked. Willing to delay the applause in favor of building something real. Luck is not a strategy. Hope is not a business plan. Wishful thinking doesn't pay rent. Execution does. The people who build real wealth, lasting wealth, do it because they decide outlast excuses. They stop romanticizing luck and start respecting labor. They understand that the market doesn't reward dreams. It rewards action. It rewards clarity. It rewards courage. Most people never build wealth because they're addicted to safety. They want guarantees. They want to know it'll work before they even start. But wealth isn't built on certainty. It's built on calculated risk, on repeated failure, on small daily, invisible acts that compound over time. They say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. But most people never prepare. They're too busy scrolling, too busy comparing, too busy waiting for a sign. You don't need a sign. You need a strategy. You don't need a miracle. You need momentum. Luck didn't write the book. Luck didn't make the call. Luck didn't stay up late learning the new skill. Luck didn't reinvest the first check. Luck didn't hold a vision when no one else could see it. People did. People just like you, who decided that it was either now or never, that they would rather live with the pressure of building than the pain of regret. Excuses will keep you broke longer than any setback ever could. Every excuse sounds like logic, but it's just fear with makeup on. I'm too old. It's too late. The market is too saturated. The economy is too hard. I don't know where to start. All of that is just fear talking. All of that is just you letting the old story win. You want to get rich? Burn the excuses. Star them. Refuse to repeat them. Your mind will feed what you rehearse. If you rehearse doubt, you will embody hesitation. But if you rehearse courage, you will act. If you rehearse discipline, you will grow. And if you rehearse ownership, you will lead. You cannot control the timing, but you can control the effort. You cannot control the market, but you can control your consistency. You cannot control how people react, but you can control your response. Wealth is never about luck. It's about leverage. Leverage of your time. Leverage of your habits. Leverage of your decisions. So decide. Decide that you will no longer be available for mediocrity. Decide that you will not pass down the same excuses you inherited. Decide that you will not be another name in the crowd of almosts. Decide that you will become unrecognizable to the version of you that used to wait for luck. Your financial future is not an accident waiting to happen. It's a result waiting to be claimed. And the moment you accept that truth, not just in your words, but in your schedule, your attitude, your standards, you step into power. You become unavailable for blame, unavailable for victimhood, unavailable for the narrative that someone else has what you deserve. You will not get rich by hoping. You will not get rich by watching. You will not get rich by waiting. You will get rich by showing up daily, fiercely, consistently for your vision. Not someday, not when things calm down, not when life gives you permission, but now. Now is the only moment that owes you anything. And the only thing luck owes you is silence. Replacing excuses with execution. Excuses are seductive. They sound like reason. They feel like safety. But they are the single biggest thief of wealth you'll ever face. Excuses don't come to you as enemies. They come dressed as logic, humility, caution, even humility. But in reality, they are nothing more than permission slips to underperform. You say, I'm not ready. What you mean is, I'm scared. You say, I don't have enough time. What you mean is, I haven't made this a priority. You say, it's not the right season. What you mean is, I want a guarantee. But no excuse will build your legacy. No excuse ever deposit $1 in your account. No excuse ever turn an idea into income. No excuse ever walked into a bank and opened a business line of credit. What did? Execution. Execution is a brutal, consistent choice to act anyway. To build when you're tired. To start when you don't feel ready. To publish when it's not perfect. To try again after the first time flopped. The difference between those who build wealth and those who wish for it is that one group moves, regardless of how they feel, and the other waits for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, the perfect plan. You will never think your way into success. You must act your way into clarity. You don't need more information. You don't need another mentor. You don't need a 10th online course you'll never finish. What you need is brutal honesty about your execution. What are you actually doing with your 24 hours? Not what you intend to do, not what you hope to do. What are you actually doing, consistently? Most people work hard for 2 weeks and expect a life-changing return. They want harvest without planting. They want applause without discipline. They want the win without enduring the grind. But wealth doesn't respond to effort. It responds to sustained effort. The market doesn't reward occasional excellence. It rewards daily consistency. And consistency is boring. That's why most people quit. They don't realize that boring is the bridge between goals and greatness. They want excitement, novelty, fireworks, but wealth is made in the mundane. It's made in the reps, in the follow-ups, in the emails no one answers, in the content no one sees, in the sacrifices no one claps for. There are people far less talented than you, living the life you want, because they replace their excuses with execution. They stopped telling the story of why it can't happen for them and started writing a new one. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right thing over and over until the wrong things get tired of showing up. Excuses are rooted in emotion. Execution is rooted in structure. Structure will always win. That's why systems beat motivation. That's why routines outperform mood. That's why discipline devours inspiration. Discipline is what makes you wealthy. Not dreams, not vision boards, not podcasts, not more information. Discipline, the decision to do what needs to be done whether or not you feel like it. The decision to keep going when it's hard. The decision to follow through when the excitement wears off. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just undisciplined. And you can fix that. You don't need to move mountains today, but you do need to move something. You need to break the inertia. Wealth doesn't show up to people who think about it. It shows up to people who plan for it, build for it, work for it, and protect it. You don't need motivation to take action. Action creates motivation. The moment you stop making room for excuses, you create room for transformation. So get serious. Audit your time. Audit your effort. Audit your results. Not as a way to judge yourself, but as a way to grow up financially. If you want financial freedom, it's not complicated. It's just not easy. Show up, track your actions, repeat the process, ignore the noise, study the numbers, stay accountable, get around winners, execute like your life depends on it, because it does. Your freedom is on the other side of your excuses. Burn the list, shut the door, and execute. Wealth is a system, not a secret. Wealth has never been a secret. But for generations, it's been treated like one. Whispers in boardrooms, cryptic advice in books, gatekeeping in communities. But the truth is, wealth is not hiding from you. It's just structured in a way that most people never take the time to understand. Because wealth isn't magic, it's math. It isn't fate, it's formula. It's not reserved for the elite. It's reserved for the strategic. And those who win at this game are the ones who stop chasing shiny hacks and start building systems that print freedom, slowly, quietly, and predictably. Let this sink in. Poor people work for money. Rich people build systems that make money work for them. That's the shift. That's the breakthrough. Most people are stuck in an endless loop of earning and spending. They chase income but never create infrastructure. They build effort but not equity. They depend on wages instead of designing a system where money compounds, multiplies, and eventually buys back their time. You don't need a lottery ticket. You need a plan. A real, Executable plan. Not a dream, not a fantasy, not a mood board, but a system that generates income, keeps expenses below income, allocates the difference with intention, leverages tools like investment, compounding, and asset creation, automates the boring parts, protects it all with strategy. Wealthy people are not smarter than you. They are just more systemized. They use tools you ignore. They track numbers you overlook. They optimize things you haven't even noticed. Wealth flows to structure, not emotion. That's why your feelings don't matter to the market. It doesn't care if you're tired, stressed, or discouraged. The market responds to action, consistency, and strategic systems. The problem is, most people think wealth is a single event, a viral moment, a big break, a huge sale, a lucky flip. But wealth isn't created in one moment. It's created in the repetition of one model, executed relentlessly. Take the wealthy. They automate their savings. They diversify their income. They invest in skill sets. They delay gratification. They let compound interest play defense and offense at the same time. They treat money like a soldier, not a souvenir. Every dollar has a job. Every cent has a strategy. Every expense is audited. Every investment is watched. You want to be wealthy? Then stop chasing results and start building routines that lead to results. Build your emergency fund. Create multiple streams of income. Master budgeting not as a restriction, but as a blueprint. Learn investing like your freedom depends on it, because it does. Build assets, not liabilities. Learn taxes. Learn leverage. Learn how to protect wealth once you have it. Wealthy people don't hope to be rich. They engineer it. They don't guess. They forecast. They don't hustle blindly. They measure. And more importantly, they stay calm. Because systems give you peace. When you have a system, you don't chase. When you have a system, you don't panic. When you have a system, you don't need every opportunity. You only need the right one, and you'll be ready when it comes. So build one. Start today. Start with the boring parts. The savings, the auto investments, the side hustle that turns into a scalable stream. Start with the research, the books, the mentorship, the trial and error. Start with a $100 budget and build your discipline before you ever build your empire. The difference between broke and wealthy isn't always income. It's intelligence, not academic, but financial. It's the understanding of cash flow, compounding, leverage, risk, timing, and time. You want to be rich without luck? Then stop relying on hustle alone and start designing systems. Hustle will make you money. Systems will keep it. And scalable systems? They'll multiply it. You need a process that works when you're tired. A structure that performs even when you're not at your best. That's the core difference. Wealthy people don't rely on their energy. They rely on architecture. They let systems do the heavy lifting. So stop treating wealth like a riddle. It's not. It's a blueprint. And it's not locked, but you have to build it. Stop looking for secrets. Start applying principles. Because the system will serve whoever shows up and uses it. Part 4 of Get Rich Without Luck, Build Wealth Without Excuses. Title: The Inner Game, Habits, Identity, and Belief. Wealth begins in the mind long before it ever shows up in your bank account, before the income changes, before the assets accumulate, before the investments grow. Something inside you must shift, because wealth is not just about money. It's about identity. And until you believe you are the kind of person who builds and sustains wealth, you will sabotage every step forward. You will procrastinate. You will second guess. You will shrink when it's time to execute. Not because you're lazy, but because you haven't yet become the version of yourself who commands financial authority. Here's the truth. Your results are always a reflection of your standards, not your desires. You can want financial freedom with every fiber of your being, but if your daily standards, your habits, your mindset, your attitude, your decisions are aligned with scarcity, distraction, and fear, then freedom will always stay just out of reach. You say you want to build wealth, but are your habits consistent with someone who does? Do you wake up early? Do you plan your day with intention? Do you track your money like it matters? Do you read more than you scroll? Do you delay gratification to invest in future value? Or do you keep waiting for motivation to show up before you act? Wealth builders don't wait to feel ready. They anchor themselves in identity. They wake up every day and act as the person they're becoming, not the person they used to be. Because here's the catch. You won't rise to the level of your goals. You will fall to the level of your identity. So you must rebuild your self-image, not with hype, not with fake affirmations, but with action, with habits that train your nervous system to trust that you are no longer average, that you are no longer available for poverty thinking, that you are no longer outsourcing your confidence to other people's opinions. Your identity is not fixed. It's flexible. And every day, your habits are either reinforcing an old version of you or programming a new one. Habits are not just routines. They are agreements you've made with your future. If you eat junk, you're agreeing to fatigue. If you overspend, you're agreeing to chaos. If you say, I'll start tomorrow, you're agreeing to regret. But if you invest in yourself daily, you're agreeing to a richer future, one deposit at a time. Most people try to build wealth while operating with a scarcity identity. That's why they hoard. That's why they undercharge. That's why they chase money instead of creating value. That's why they copy instead of innovate. That's why they give up too soon. You cannot build wealth with the mindset of someone who's trying to survive. The wealthy think long-term. They don't obsess over the next 24 hours. They think in years, in cycles, in returns. They don't ask, how much can I make today? They ask, what can I build today that will pay me for years? That's a belief system, and you must wire it in. That means surrounding yourself with people who speak wealth fluently, not complainers, not doubters, not people who say money isn't everything as an excuse to stay stuck. That means changing what you feed your mind. Podcasts, books, videos, rooms, conversations, because belief is contagious. And if your environment speaks poverty, you will carry that energy, even if your goals say otherwise. You must get serious about your inputs, because your inner game is not optional. It is the engine behind every financial outcome. And let's not be naive. Wealth requires emotional fitness. You will face rejection. You will face failure. You will face months where the numbers don't match the effort. And if your identity isn't rooted in strength, discipline, vision, and self-belief, you will quit. That's why you must build resilience before you build riches. If you can master the mornings you don't feel like showing up, if you can hold a line when nobody claps for you, if you can forgive yourself quickly and get back to work, then wealth is inevitable. The hardest part of getting rich without luck is becoming the person who no longer needs luck. Because that person, they show up different. They move with conviction. They speak with clarity. They operate with discipline. They don't explain themselves to small minds. They don't flinch when things get tight. They execute every single day. You are either reinforcing your excuses or reinforcing your evolution. There is no in-between. So if you truly want wealth, don't just ask, what I need to do. Ask, who do I need to become? Then build that person, brick by brick, habit by habit, belief by belief. Part 5 of Get Rich Without Luck, Build Wealth Without Excuses. Title: Wealth is built in public, but protected in private. People will see the car. They'll see the house. They'll see the numbers. But what they won't see, what they'll never see, is the discipline behind the scenes, the nights of silence, the decisions no one clapped for, the resistance to show off, the refusal to self-destruct the moment money showed up. Because here's the final truth. Getting rich is one game. Staying rich is another. Getting rich is loud. It's hustle, building, pitching, shipping, scaling. But keeping wealth is quiet. It's subtle, intentional, boring to outsiders. It's private decisions with generational consequences. You can build wealth in public. But the real power, that happens in private, in the conversations with your financial advisor, in the structure of your trust, in the boundaries you set when relatives start calling, in the humility to say no, even when you can afford the yes, in the identity you form around stewardship, not showmanship. We live in a world that worships display. Wealth is posted, flexed, filtered. But the moment you start performing with your finances, you stop protecting your foundation. Because wealth isn't proof of arrival. It's responsibility for legacy. It's not about how loud you can get. It's about how long you can last. The ones who keep wealth, they move different. They don't inflate their lifestyle every time their income increases. They don't chase the appearance of success. They don't need to prove they made it because they know they're not done building. They understand that the true enemy of financial freedom isn't poverty. It's ego. Ego will bankrupt you faster than a recession. It will convince you to buy things to impress people who don't even care. It will make you take risks that don't align with your values. It will blind you to the need for systems, audits, protection, and boundaries. So protect yourself from yourself. Understand the seasons of wealth. There's a time to build, a time to scale, a time to invest, a time to preserve, a time to walk away, a time to say no, even when everything inside you wants to say yes. Because what you keep is always more important than what you make. A $200,000 lifestyle on a $250,000 income is a liability. A $70,000 lifestyle on a $250,000 income, that's freedom. That's protection. That's peace. And peace, not noise, is the ultimate flex. So guard it. Guard your time, your peace, your relationships. Because when money comes, people come. They come with asks, opinions, guilt, manipulation, and urgency. But just because you have it doesn't mean you owe it. You owe you first. You owe your future. You owe your children's peace, not just their pleasure. You owe your legacy a foundation that can't be shaken by lifestyle creep or public applause. Build the fences. Set the rules. Define what enough means. Because without clarity, you'll keep chasing, even when you've already won. And if you chase forever, you'll burn out your purpose in the name of profit. You'll forget why you started. You'll sacrifice time for toys, joy for validation, silence for clout. Don't let that be your story. Remember, money will amplify what already lives inside you. If you're undisciplined, it will magnify your chaos. If you're wise, it will multiply your reach. If you're insecure, it will feed your fear. If you're grounded, it will serve your mission. So build from the inside out. Build what lasts, not what trends, not what clicks, not what gets likes, but what withstands storms, market crashes, betrayal, inflation, exhaustion, doubt, and pressure. Because true wealth is unshakable, not because it's loud, but because it's layered, structured, rooted, quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It just works while you rest, while you live, while you lead. And that quiet control, that private mastery, that is the definition of getting rich without luck and building wealth without excuses. We've talked mindset. We've talked execution. We've torn down luck. But none of it sticks unless it shows up daily. Because the life you want isn't built in a week. It's built in your routine, not your goals, not your vision board, not your motivation, your routine. This is where most people break. They read the books. They write the affirmations. They feel inspired for a few days. Then life hits and they default. Why? Because there was no structure, no war plan, no system to hold the discipline in place when life got messy. So here's your blueprint, not suggestions, not theories. This is the millionaire routine, not because it sounds cool, because it's what works when applied. Morning, the power hours, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. You don't rise rich by sleeping in. You beat the day before it beats you. Wake up early, not because it's trendy, because your mind is quiet before the world starts yelling. Silence first. 10 minutes. No phone. Just breathe. Just presence. Mind feed. 10 to 30 minutes of intentional learning. Audio, book, scripture, finance, strategy. Prime your mind for creation, not consumption. Write your 3 MIT's most important tasks. Not a to-do list, a to-win list. Move your body. Walk, stretch, lift, run. Doesn't matter. Just move. You can't dominate if your body is weak. Hydrate plus fuel. Water and intentional food. You're not here to survive. You're here to optimize. No social media until after victory. Don't start your day reacting to someone else's agenda. Work blocks. The deep sessions, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Wealth is built in the work you often avoid. Focus is your currency. One block equals one outcome. Don't multitask. Own one outcome at a time. Use timers. 50 minutes deep work. 10-minute reset. Repeat. Eliminate noise. Turn off notifications. Your wealth doesn't live in your inbox. Measure. Don't work without tracking. Know your key metrics. Know your movement. Afternoon. Admin network strategy, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is where most people coast. You don't. Handle admin with urgency. Emails, calls, follow-ups. Fast and precise. Connect with builders. No wealth grows in isolation. Touch base with one person smarter than you daily. Check cash flow. Every day. Wealthy people touch their numbers. Broke people avoid them. Adjust the sales. What worked today? What didn't? Fix it fast. Don't wait till Friday. Evening. Reset, rest, refocus. 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. You protect your mind like you protect your money. Wind down with intention. A good tomorrow starts tonight. Plan the next day. Write it down. If it's not on paper, it's not real. No digital junk food. Limit scrolling. Limit TV. Replace with reflection, journaling, reading. Be present with your people, with your health, with your peace. Sleep early. Not because it's noble, because fatigue is the enemy of discipline. Daily non-negotiables. Learn something that can make you money. Do something that can grow your money. Track something that can protect your money. Build something that can outlive your money. Serve someone who can one day multiply your money. This is how you win, not in hype, not in noise, not in dreams, but in deliberate repetition of high-value behavior. Do this long enough and luck becomes relevant. Excuses become laughable. And money? Money just becomes a reflection of how seriously you treat your time, your mind, and your mission. Because the rich don't work harder. They work smarter and more consistently than everyone else. And that starts with today.